welcome to the Lion Show. I'm your host, your favorite business coach, Robert Lyon. Today, we have the great pleasure of talking to Rolando Hyman. He is a psychotherapist, an author, a life coach, a motivational speaker, and he's just really fighting the good fight, helping just the youth and helping men and just helping everybody in general. So, Rolando, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody kind of who you are and what you're up to?
Hey, thank you for having me, Robert, man. I'm happy to be here on your show. Thanks for the invitation. So a little bit about myself. I'm a psychotherapist. I've been in the field now for over a decade. I do full-time therapy. So I'm in that field. I'm in that world like 6 days a week. I'm presently I'm working really aggressively on promoting, as you can see in my background, the XY Spark, which is a group or a program that I've designed to offer quality support for men that's holistic. So spiritual, psychological, social, and emotional support. We want to bring to the surface that men do suffer significantly from mental health. And we want to say this is a space that we're providing for men to come and just vent and get empowered.
Yeah, man, I think that's really important because it's in our society today. That's not a thing that is even talked about. Like men don't really have anybody if you're, going through a hard time to talk to. You're supposed to be macho and like tough and all this crap. So what does healthy masculinity actually mean? What does that mean to you and where'd that kind of come from?
Healthy masculinity, it's a good question, Robert. You know, let's see if we can take our time and work through it so that it be clear. Now, societal norm has forced men to present a false concept of how a man is supposed to be. So we don't talk about emotions. We don't ask for help. We don't we don't say we don't know when we don't know. We're in that place where we grew up in an era where men don't cry, men are supposed to be tough. We're supposed to have muscles and a six pack, and we must be tough.
Right.
Okay. And we must grow our boys to be tough. And so all of that happens, and we are continuing this unhealthy killer cycle.
Yeah.
It's more like the era of patriarchy, if there for want of a better term.
Mhm.
When you watch that movie Gladiators, that's how men are supposed to be.
I actually like that
Healthy
movie a lot.
masculinity. Healthy masculinity, Robert, is helping more men to recognize that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to get down to ground level and ask for help. It's okay to talk about grief, to talk about trauma, to admit that you're struggling with an issue and get help. Healthy masculinity is being aware that you don't know everything and you don't have all the answers. And 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 being very, very open about the fact that the greatest room is a room for improvement, and it's my responsibility to grow. Healthy masculinity is what I role model for my kids at home, what I role model for my partner in a relationship, how society sees me, what the community thinks of me. Healthy masculinity is having integrity, and
Uh,
so I could go on all day, Robert, but I just want you to know that healthy masculinity is bringing that evolutionary piece in mind for us to know that we no longer need to live up to the societal expectation. We
yeah.
need to come out of that model that was set down for us. Here's another thing, Robert, that's very, very, very important for us to know. Healthy masculinity is when I'm able to take a step back and look at the way I'm doing things and question myself if this is healthy, if this is worth it, if this is empowering, if this is presenting to the world the ideal.
Mm.
I don't want to kill you, Robert, too much, but you see where I'm going with it, Robert. And so
Yeah.
it's helping more of us. I'm not saying more men, more of us, you, me, your
Yeah.
listeners, to be mindful that it's just about time now for us to stop playing tricks on ourselves, to stop deceiving ourselves and fitting into this societal mold that has been handed down to us for centuries. Healthy masculinity is when we're starting to help more men from committing suicide.
Mm.
Because the rate of suicide, when you look at it right now, someone dies from suicide every 40 seconds. In Canada alone, you have 3,000 men who are committing suicide a year. And that's just in one part of the world. So healthy masculinity is encouraging more men to know that, hey, you don't have to do this by yourself. And that's why XY Spark is here. Reach out, talk to us, and let's work together.
Oh man, well, you got me. You lit a fire in me, man. I love it. I don't think you can hear enough about that because it's just not heard enough. I mean, you said a lot of things like, whenever I think I know everything, I can't admit when I'm wrong, and
Mhm.
it's just like, and I'm a fairly healthy person. There's so many people that are just always like, they're struggling. They're trying to make it work. So what do you think is the biggest problem that you tend to help men solve around this? Like they come to you and then how do you help them? And what do you think the biggest issue they have is usually?
Some of the biggest barriers that we have as men, believe it or not, is there's a lot of intergenerational trauma.
Hmm.
You know, there's a fact that Robert, let's say your dad, for example, he was your role model, and everything that your dad did, you are going to copy that, and you're going to take that with you into your current relationship. And sometimes some of the biggest challenge for men to change is for them to break away from continuing that cycle. Some of the biggest challenge that you'll have a lot of men who they experience sexual abuse, they experience grief and loss. They have been uh, they have been quote unquote survivors of domestic violence and abusive relationships. There are many men who are in abusive relationship right now. They are being physically or verbally abused by their partner, but they're not going to come out or ask for help because that's not what a real man does,
Yeah.
quote unquote. Okay. And so we want to empower more men. And here's a funny thing, someone reached out to me the other day and asked if they could come on my podcast, my show,
Yeah.
which was a female. And you know, the question was asked, do you have female guests? And they say, but why not? Men came from women. So why would I not have a female guest? And the big piece behind healthy masculinity in Robert is to remember this, that when we have healthier men, we have happier homes. They say happy wife, happy life, but I want us to know also that when you have a healthy man in the home along with that happy wife, it makes for a more solid family relationship.
Yeah.
So when we talk about healthy masculinity, we are not separating ourselves from the woman. That's not what we're doing. We're saying we want to make the men more compact so that the women can feel more satisfied and they can be happier because they know that, hey, my hubby is not isolating himself in the garage anymore, or
Yeah.
he's not running away from situations. He's not finding comfort in alcohol and drug use. He's not hiding behind watching sports all day, every day. He is actually actively involved in the life of the family, and he is grounded enough.
Oh man, that's awesome. So I think the biggest issue, like most people really go through, is like you said, they're carrying all this trauma, all this survivor mentality, all this crap. So how do you actually help them break free of that? How do they? How do you do it? What do you think of?
Robert, therapy is, I love what I do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't exchange my job for nothing else because I see myself, Robert, as a servant. Okay, I'm here to serve the community. So when someone comes to me, I don't see myself as being superior or better than. One big reality that I know, Robert, and I say this is I could be sitting in the chair today as a therapist. Tomorrow, I could be sitting in another chair as a client.
Mm,
Okay. And
yeah.
so for me, therapy is a very humbling experience just to know that someone is willing to trust me and come to me and talk to me about what's going on and allow me to be a part of their journey, because this is their journey. I'm just along with them for the ride for a short period in their lives. Okay. And so normally someone comes to me, we think about what a treatment plan would look like, we'd set some goals up, and we work through that in whichever way, the person sees fit. And just through doing that, we help people to regain their sense of self, to break out of that shell, because you have a lot of men now who they are living their lives like chickens, not recognizing that they were actually born to be eagles.
Yeah.
So my idea is to get them to break away from the chicken mentality and be the eagle that they can become through making different choices and healing through therapeutic process from some of those experiences that they've had.
I love it, man. Yeah. When I was younger, I think therapy probably saved my life, and then I kind of stopped doing it. So it's definitely an ongoing battle. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Got to stay on
Hmm.
top of it. So one of my favorite questions to ask, like life coaches, and you're a psychotherapist, is like, when did you know that this is your calling, or this is when you were ready to do this?
Robert, that's a powerful question. And how I knew this is, believe it or not, before I came to where I'm presently living now, before I migrated to where I am now, I used to do this in my hometown. Okay. I
Huh.
used to do this in my hometown. I'm Jamaican born.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And so I did that there for a number of years, and I worked in some very, very volatile communities. And how I knew this is, I've had some really life-changing experiences working with men, women, and families
Mm.
where, believe it or not, just a couple of years ago, I went back home and I met some people, and they said to me, Rolando, it's because of what you did why I'm where I am right now.
Wow.
And so just hearing that, and the person that said that to me, I met them 15 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And for me, I need no validation more than that. Okay. I need no more validation when more than when um, someone, just send me an email, or just send me a text, or just send an email, say, hey, Roland, you know what, today, um, thank you, because my life changed. Just one interaction, and I've worked many years as a trainer. I used to work with a number of university students. That's long before I became a full-time psychotherapist, where I used to train and equip university students to work in the community, connecting with folks. And over the I did it for 10 years, I've trained hundreds of people to do that work. And even now, some of them, they still remember me today. And so that's how I know that I think I have that passion, just to empower and even share my own story, with persons, so persons know that uh, when I speak, Robert, when I speak, I'm not speaking about theory. It's not because I read about someone's story in a book. Okay. Okay.
Uh,
That's important. But I've shared my own story, my own journey, you know, um, from where I was, to where I am now, to ideally where I'd like to be. And I recognize that it's definitely something that I think I have a passion about. So yeah, I've had many life experiences that's brought me where I know for a fact that this is something that I want to do and I love doing.
well, I just love hearing you talk about it, man. It brings me on a roller coaster. Just makes me happy, man. Somebody's out there doing the good work, man. It's incredible. Um,
Yeah,
I'd like to know a little bit about your book. I mean, I love that the title is Permission to Grow and so much more.
yeah,
So why don't you tell
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
about your book?
Yeah, so this book, the title of it is called Giving Myself Permission to Grow: Seven Solutions for Personal Development. And believe it or not, this book, it came out of, I had a percolating thought. I was sitting in my office, and this was a day I think one of my clients never showed up, and I was there thinking, man, everyone has problems, problems, persons. That's just the idea that there's this problem saturated mindset. Now that the pandemic is going on, the problem has gone way through the roof now. And I thought to myself, how do I change the face of this problem mentality to a solution mentality?
Yeah.
And so, as counselors, we believe strongly in presenting to persons a strength based approach to therapy, solution focused therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, strength based, being empowered. And so, from that word problem, I came up with different words to
Mm.
express, to change it. So, when you look at the word problem, we created a map from the word problem, and from that we start thinking, okay, how do I change this P to something positive? So I say, what about being persistent? How do I change this O to something positive? Okay, what about opening up and dealing with psychological barriers and stuff? How do I change this R to something positive? Okay, how about thinking about maybe I need to be, spending more time to rest and reflect and reconnect with self. And so we created this map. And then I had a colleague, he's a psychologist as well. And he came into the office. No, I ran across to his office. I said, hey, look, I have this beautiful map here. What do you think? And my colleague said to me, you know what? You have something there. I think you should write about it. I said, oh, whatever, it's just a map. It's just one page. And so I went to my office and I put it down. And believe it or not, last year during the pandemic, I just started writing.
Nice.
And the next thing I know, I had a book. I reached
Oh,
out to another buddy of mine who is in marketing, and he got excited. He said to me, Rolando, hey man, guess what, man? I'll work on a cover page for you, and I have an artist for you. And it just came together like a miracle.
wow.
And so now it's there, it's in audio, it's Kindle, it's hardcover, it's soft cover, it's on Amazon there, and it's just going well. And each time I read the the feedback that persons review that persons have written on Amazon, it just excites me.
Yeah, man, I can
So,
think of so many people that need that book.
oh yeah.
Man, can you give us just one example of a word that you shifted from problem to positive or something?
Okay. So, as I was saying to you now, the next speed. So, how do you change that E to something positive? So we talk about things like evaluating.
Ah,
Okay. So, how much time are you taking, Robert, in your own time to just take a step back and look at and ask yourself some tough questions? What am I doing? How are things going with me? What are some of the things that I think I need to do differently? What have I been doing the same way all my life that I need to change? What opportunities have I taken a hold of, or which ones did I not take a hold of because I was feeding my fear and starving my faith? So it's really challenging us, and the book also has a workbook that goes with it. So when
wow.
you read each chapter, you can go to the workbook and set some goals for yourself, because the idea behind this book is really challenging persons to do something differently. Get
You
out
say
of the
that?
problem mentality into the
Yeah.
solution thinking mentality.
Wait, say that again. How did it go? Feeding my fears and starving my faith. Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh man, I love that. That's like the quote of the day right there. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh man. Well, I love it, man. Everything you're saying is just like hitting home. You're fighting the good fight. It's so cool. So when how long until you're totally finished with becoming a complete psychotherapist? Isn't that like an 8-year thing, or how long is that?
No, I've already completely become a psychotherapist, and right now I'm working on my program for clinical psychology,
Oh,
the doctoral program. I'm
yeah.
hoping that within a year I should be able to get that done. But sometimes life happens.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I'm hoping that within a year I can get that. But I've been a psychotherapist with um the Canadian Counseling Psychotherapy Association now for a number of years.
Wow.
And so under that umbrella I serve in the capacity where I'm serving, and I do a lot of work. I like
Yeah.
working with couples, I like working with men, and my passion, Robert, is just to see every person that comes in contact with me start living their best life. Start
Wow.
living their best life, becoming the best version of yourself. And my hashtag for this year is best version of me, BVM 2021. You'll see me have things there on my Facebook page. You see me have things there on Twitter, on TikTok. You'll see me on Facebook under the hashtag BVM 2021, best version of me. And that's my goal for every person that I come in contact with.
Oh, I love that goal, man. That's just awesome. So I see you talk a lot about just motivation and motivating people. I'd like to hear your take, like, because I think people just need to know that they can change their life, that they can do things, you know. So what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on just that?
it's powerful that you asked me that because, right now I'm reading a beautiful book written by John Maxwell entitled The 15 Inviolable Laws of Growth. And something that popped out at me, is in the book, Maxwell said this. He said that a lot of persons, they believe that life should only have up and up.
Uh-huh.
Okay. When the downs come, they see it as a failure. They whine, they get discouraged, you know. And what Maxwell said in his book is this, that for you to believe that life only have up and ups is not realistic, because life is going to have some downs. So here's my approach to motivating people. My approach to motivating people is to recognize this, that if you are going to change, if you're going to do something differently, if you're going to grow, we have to recognize, Robert, that one of the greatest gifts that you and I have as a human being is the gift of choice.
Yeah.
And every step of the way, every choice that we make, it has a consequence. And sometimes we may make choices that we don't get the right results. But what we've got to do now is also recognize as well that self-improvement and growth is not an event, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
So if
is.
you and I want to grow and if you and I want to improve, we have got to talk about how do I shift that focus from not getting sucked into the what I should have done and focus on the what I can do.
Yeah.
Because the what I should have is already history. So,
Mhm.
so, so, so the empowering piece is remembering that yesterday is history, tomorrow is just a dream, and today is reality. So we
Yeah.
have got to learn and give ourselves permission to live in our present reality so that we can grow.
Oh man, that was powerful. It's a lifestyle, man. That is the truest thing like I've heard for a while, man. Because you got to just keep going at it and keep it up. It's not something that just happens, and really you have to have that. Like really, everything has to fall down. Like I say, life is all about mountains and valleys. And the
Yeah.
valleys come, and the valleys are there kind of to wake you up, and then you can climb an even taller mountain next time. It goes
Mhm,
up and down and all through life,
mhm.
but it is totally a lifestyle that you have to commit to. So many people
Yep.
think it's like you listen to one motivational tape and then you're going to do it for like an hour and then quit. It's
Nope.
always a constant grind
Constant,
almost.
constant grind. You said something about mountain. I'm going to even say this, Robert. If you can't climb the mountain, man, you get the picker and start chipping away at it one block at a time, man. Because
Yeah.
remember, the idea, Robert, is this, you have the ability to turn your mountain into a freeway.
Ooh.
So even if you can't climb over it, if you remove one stone at a time, one brick at a time, eventually you're going to pave a path through that mountain.
Yeah.
Okay, because chances are you may want to use that path again. And so it's really capturing the reality that there is a spark in you.
Ooh. Is that where
Okay.
the XY spark came from?
The XY spark. Okay, there's a spark in you, Robert, and remember that all you need to start a fire is a spark.
Mm,
don't
interesting.
miss don't miss that don't miss that. And so we talk about ways to change the perspective, to change the outlook, to change the mindset, because that's what kills us. The mindset has got to change
Yeah.
as we move out of this poor me mentality into the more self-empowering place. One of the fathers of psychology, Martin Seligman talks about what you call learned helplessness. Okay.
Yeah.
And learned helplessness, believe it or not, Robert, is something that you and I, if we're not careful, we can speak ourselves into disability. We can speak ourselves into pessimism. We can speak ourselves into hopelessness. But we can also speak ourselves into into a place of strength and motivation and positivity.
Yeah.
The
Greatness.
mind, the mind, Robert.
I know. So you seem like the right guy to talk about mindset. So how do you help people get out of their stuck mindset and into more of like a growth mindset?
you know Robert, it comes back to what I was saying earlier. Several things sometimes you have to do. You know, a researcher out of Harvard, I'm forgetting his name, he said this. He said that the five people that you hang around the most, they they influence your failure or your success 95% of the time.
Wow.
So if you're talking about a growth mindset, sometimes you have to think about changing your association.
Hmm.
If you're talking about a growth mindset, sometimes you have to think about connecting with like-minded people.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're talking about change a growth mindset, you have to come to that place where you start challenging some of those self-critical thoughts and those what I call negative perceptions that you have of yourself.
Yeah.
In other words, Robert, if each day you get up and you don't see an opportunity for growth, and you tell yourself, "Well, there's nothing here, I'm doomed," that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to be doomed. But if you say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going on this search. If it's out there, I'm going to find it."
You
That
always,
alone, that alone, in psychology, one of the big pieces that we talk about in psychology is, one of the most powerful things that helps to transform the mind, hope.
mm.
Hope is a therapeutic. It gets those therapeutic juices going inside your brain to the point where you feel like you could take on the world, and you just keep going because you have not lost hope.
Right. I love it. Ah, well, I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful you keep spreading the message and keep telling people about this. That's a kind of a good segue. You said that you do like group. Is it group
Yeah,
coaching or is it just where
yeah,
men come together and they
yeah,
talk?
yeah. We do all of it because I work with couples a lot, and I do that with couples. And for men, when men come together, sometimes I get a little bit excited in the room because I need men to know. I need more men to start believing in themselves. And here's the knowledge that I use. Robert, you have a show going on right now. You invite me to be a guest. I want you to know, Robert, that chances are this show that you're doing, it's not your final destination. Okay, this could be just a roadside turnout.
Yeah.
There could be bigger things waiting for you, but you have got to capture that in your mind's eye and start making those steps to make that come to fruition.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm saying to everyone who is listening, your guest, whoever, wherever you are, even if you're the CEO for a company, who says that's your final destination?
Right.
Because life, Robert, is not static, it's dynamic.
It's abundant, ever expanding. Oh, man. That's so cool. And I know you also help the youth, and you said you were doing something for them. I'd like to talk about that a little bit now. Oh, it was the t-shirts. Everybody, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, tell me
yeah.
about the t-shirts.
So the XY Spark Scholarship Fund is something that, it came out of a passion of mine to help more youth, because we have a lot of youth in the community. I'm going to say this, XY Spark is promoting healthy masculinity, and it doesn't mean that if there's a young lady who needs support, we're going to tell her no.
Yeah.
Okay. But we are saying that we want to start by empowering more young men, because a lot of young men are out there, and they're misguided. The drugs, and struggling with mental health, and some of them don't have great relationships with their dads or moms, and but they want to do something with their lives. And we're saying that we have started the XY Spark Scholarship Fund, where we promote some just some amazing t-shirts. If you check our website, you'll see them. If you check our TikTok page, you'll see them. And these t-shirts, when you purchase one, 15% of the profit of that go towards a youth. And already we have one youth who is on board. We're just creating this profile to make persons know that this is what your contribution is going towards. Here's a youth, and he is aiming for the top, and you're going to be a part of his process. And so the XY Spark Scholarship Fund, we have launched that. The next thing that we are in the process of launching is, we want to say, for the purchase of our book, each time you purchase one of our books, we're going to be donating $1 of the profit towards preventing human trafficking, because that is something that is so prevalent, and it's really destroying a lot of lives,
Yeah.
and so we want to support that in a tangible way, so people can know that XY Spark is in the business of restoring healthy masculinity and empowering families. And
Yeah.
that's what we want to do.
Everybody needs it. The happy families, man, more out there. It's just so incredible. I think helping the youth is really dead on because I mean, when I was younger, I was a complete pain in the ass, man. I was just like, no one could tell me anything. I had no role models. I was just on a path of destruction, and I had to really, really hit rock bottom hard because I had a thick head to really bounce back to figure it out.
Mhm.
And so anything that anybody can help, I'm gonna go buy a shirt. I think everybody else should. But I think that's just a really good fight, man. I think you're doing
Mhm.
some awesome
Yeah,
work.
yeah. And we have some amazing men who are part of the XY Spark team. They're working behind the scenes. We have guys like Dominic Hill, an amazing guy. We also have another guy. His name is Lon Jones, and I'm naming them because, believe it or not, Robert, these guys were guys when originally when we met a number of years ago. I told them about this idea, and these guys were the ones who said to me, Rolando, we think it's a great idea. Go for it. And now I started, and I just wanted to recognize them because they were also very, very influential, and they were behind me every step of the way, just to say, Rolando, go for it. And so now that XY Spark has launched, I
Yeah,
have to just mention them by way of the influence and the support that they gave over the years.
that's so great, man. So I'm very interested in just helping my listeners find success and just like do good in life. So is there any other things that have led to your success that you think are really key for people listening to just find it?
You know, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this, Robert. I'm a guy of faith.
Hmm.
Okay. And, there were times in my life, Robert, when I literally was sitting around and there were tears in my eyes because I had no idea where I was going to go, what I was going to do. I went to university, and when I went to university, I'm going to tell you that I went solo.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I say solo, I mean my parents couldn't afford to pay for university. I had no relatives that I could call upon. I had just nobody. And I went to university with less than 1% of what I needed to pay for my first semester of school. Okay. And when I left school after I did my undergrad, my 4-year program, the university owed me because Robert, I'm going to tell you my first place for success is number one, I had faith, and number two, I was not a quitter.
Yeah.
Days got really tough. I'm telling you, Robert. And when I say days got tough, that would be another interview, but days got really tough. Okay. Days
Yeah.
got tough. And, in my book, I wrote about the hours that I would have to work sometimes
Yeah.
just to see it through and how the transition came. But I stuck to it because uh, I knew that if I wanted to get to my goal, quitting was not an option. So faith, do not quit. Number three, surround yourself with the right kind of people.
Mm.
Okay, that's also important. Surround yourself with the right kind of people and don't be afraid of change. Don't be scared of change. Okay, and so those 4 things I want to put in there, Robert, because you asked. All right, and so for me, that's a part of my story in a nutshell. Okay, and knowing that is going to be very, very helpful.
That's powerful, man. I really like it. Um, well, you've definitely inspired me today, man. I really appreciate it. I think you've inspired everybody listening. Why don't you tell everybody like the best places to get in contact if they want to work with you or how to reach you?
Okay, so you can find me on the internet if you type in contactxyspark.com. That's contact, CONTACTXY, spark, SPARK.com. That takes you directly to our website. You can also email us at Hyman at info. Okay, Hyman at xyspark.info is our email address. You can find us there. You can tune into our podcast as well if you want to hear some of the other things that we do. You can go to the Apple podcast, you'll find us on Spotify, you'll find us on the Podbean app, okay, XY Spark, and you'll hear some of the other work that we're doing. If you want to purchase an audio version of our book, you can go to therapeuticinterventions.net. All right. And that you can download an audio version of our book there. You can order it on Amazon.ca, but you can reach us at the previous addresses that I gave you, email and or website. And we'll connect with you.
Fantastic, man. Well, this has just been like exciting. I love it, man. You really motivated me. You kick ass, man. You're just a great human being. So I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate the invite, and uh, anytime, man, you let me know, man. I'm
Yeah, for
here.
sure. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I appreciate you investing the time to listen. I'm sure you got something out of it. So I love it. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.